The mic is live, the youth are speaking. This is YouthPlug, where hustle meets opportunity. From side gigs to startups, from code to courage. We plug in the next generation to jobs, skills, and power. YouthPlug, Africa youth economy switched on. If unemployment is a crisis, now what? We are moving from talk to action. Career Indaba Impact Week, the Boardroom Takeover. A 5-day live broadcast activation from 27 to 31 October 2025, 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily. Hosted by Career Indaba board members leading Africa's biggest conversations on employment, skills, youth empowerment, and inclusive growth. Bring a pledge, a placement, or a partnership. Catch us live on careerindaba.org and all our social media platforms. Career Indaba, the voice of Africa's labor market. Future-proofing skills for economic growth. Career Indaba Expo and Bootcamp. 15th to 16th of May 2026 is Africa's boldest sector-aligned and solution-driven career development event designed to bridge the skills gap, unlock real unemployment pathways, and future-proof talent across over 20 industries. From the boardrooms of Sandton to the villages of rural South Africa, we are pulling the entire country into one decisive moment to tackle unemployment, close the skills gap, and future-proof our workforce.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to YouthPlug. It's Dr. Medjibinsia here coming from you live from Switzerland. I am the board member of a Career Indaba. Career Indaba is a multimedia platform dedicated to resolving the unemployment crisis and the unemployment for youth in Africa, starting from South Africa. As you know, we are having the Board Plug Week this week. I'm here to round it off with a couple of guests, starting with Mr. Octavius Wikubi from the Mr. Price Foundation. Really happy to have him here. Give us some insights into what he does, especially since the Price Foundation is well known in South Africa. That's one of the premier foundations that we know of, and I know of as number one. And the storied work that you've done there is amazing. Would like to learn a little bit about yourself, Octavius. How did you start? And what are you doing currently? So welcome to the show. Thank you so much for lending time to us. I'm really glad to have you here.
Yeah, no, thanks so much, Benjamin, and thank you to your team for inviting us to come and share, but also make ourselves available to learn as much as we possibly can to really try and get as many young people on the continent, starting in South Africa, get jobs, get opportunities, build small businesses, and successes in their lives.
Amazing. Maybe if you give us a little bit of insight about yourself, because you have an amazing background, right? You didn't start off conventionally. You started off as well in a very unconventional way, and you have a long storied history in South Africa, outside of South Africa as well.
Yeah.
How did your career grow, and how is that a possible avenue for some of the youth of today? Because the past and the future, the past and the current, they don't really match each other anymore.
Look, I mean, my career path has been a mix of career kind of spaces, and it has never been like very linear. I studied accounting at a public university, studying accounting, but I didn't proceed to go into the chartered accounting or professional accounting path. Although I did participate in a work readiness program as part of the accounting profession very early as part of my growth, but immediately after graduating in university. So at that point, I think a lot of SETAs, what we call SETAs in the country, we're really being set up across multiple sectors. So in the finance and an accounting space, in mining, in agriculture, we're being set up as an avenue to allow young people to get what's an important part of work experience, work readiness, so that when they get into the professions they can thrive. So I did that for about 6 months, getting a stipend. So I definitely encourage young people to take advantage of that. So that was my first kind of real entry into the workspace. But I pivoted. I went into management consulting.
Yes, with
Completely,
Accenture, right?
yeah, with Accenture.
Amazing.
And I was more excited about just building strategies for companies, using finance as a base for which you can partner with clients and build out, maybe in hindsight, yes, but at the time I think what prompted me, or what I was more interested in, was, I think, the management consulting space was fairly unknown for most finance
Yes.
professionals. So it was fairly unknown, and I was super curious. How do people in management consulting work? Like, so do you develop products, services, and you go and work with the clients? So I went in there, and I started off in business intelligence.
Mhm.
Business intelligence, working with clients, really collaborating with clients to help them solve some of their big challenges in their businesses for them to grow. And I was lucky that as part of that program, it was a graduate placement program. So competing for that, and got into it, very lucky, from University of Limpopo, going on to join Accenture, which opened up a lot of opportunities for
Yeah.
me. A lot of opportunities. I mean, after 5 years though, working in resources, doing finance strategies, project management, doing finance processes improvements with multiple clients in banking, in retail, in energy. I changed my career then. I also kind of felt I need something more tangible,
Yeah.
that can speak to where we are as a country, direct impact in the society that we are in. So I was super passionate about economic transformation and social justice,
Mm.
because even when I was in Accenture, I was part of a forum that was saying we need to evolve how we do performance reviews for mostly underrepresented racial groups that come from poorer backgrounds but are now in the Accenture ecosystem. So how do we support them?
Yes.
How do we build an infrastructure that enables them to thrive, because they are from poorer backgrounds, poorer universities, etc. And so that became my thing, the social justice, socio-economic transformation. And for my sins, I think I was in Chicago doing additional training in 2011, and somebody that I used to work with at Accenture, who knew, it was a mentor who knew my passion, had already now gone into the FMCG space, and called and said, hey, I know you're like very passionate about this kind of things. I'm at this place now. At the time it was SAB Miller, before the acquisition by AB InBev.
Yeah.
And I took the chance. So I completely, again, took a complete and it was very scary. I mean, it was very scary because I'd never been in commerce and industry. So I'd always been on the advisory side,
Yeah.
advising client. And one of the things that also was missing for me was, it's great to advise, but it would be nice to actually be accountable for the things that you have,
Mm.
conceptualized, or strategies that you have proposed, innovation that you have built out, new products, and see them through, implement them,
Mm.
and come back and say, is it working, is it not working? So I left consulting. I went into commerce and industry, and I think that's why I enjoyed my time really working with entrepreneurs at SAB. It was a fantastic organization, and gave an opportunity for us to work with directly young people, work with entrepreneurs, small businesses, as well, across multiple sectors. yeah, that was fantastic for 4 or 5 years as well. Really just traveling the rest of the country and just doing work and partnering with organizations. So yeah, that was I mean the bulk of my time was at SAB, what is it, Accenture and SAB. Again, completely different spaces, but what I take from all those is that you've got to know your why, you've got to understand your why,
Yeah.
you've got to have your why. But I know sometimes when you don't have opportunities, you don't have, a job, you're unemployed, just got a degree or diploma. You also have to be opportunistic, right?
Yes.
To get in, and then when you're in, you can kind of start, looking at what is available for you, practically speaking. But you build out your why, you build and improve on your thesis, the thing that drives you and informs the sort of skills you want to acquire over time, the sort of knowledge you want to acquire over time, and being bold around what are the things you want to experience. So when I left SAB, I had a couple of months in the banking sector, but I was privileged to also be given an opportunity to go and stay and learn in Michigan, right? Because of the conviction to say, look, we are going into a new frontier. Do we know everything that we need to know? Do we have everything that we need to have around how to support entrepreneurs, how to support innovators, how to support or finance, emerging businesses in multiple sectors? So that's what I took that time. I took a risk. Also went to stay in the US for a couple of close to a year, I think, yeah, and then came back with a lot of knowledge and a lot of skill and brought it back to again help us improve in the design, firstly, of the sort of investments we need to make in enabling more young people and empowering more young people, empowering entrepreneurs, as it were, young and old, as it were, across sectors. So that's a little bit brief of my background. Fast forward, after tying out, I've also started a business myself, started it and sold it off for a small amount of money. And then I found myself at Mr. Price Foundation by virtue of all the things I've done in the past. And it was a perfect match.
Yeah, and it's amazing, it's so fantastic that you're now with the Price Foundation, because the breadth and depth of knowledge and expertise that you bring to the foundation, really
Yeah.
helps to expand the cause. Yeah, it's just a great match. I mean, could you maybe tell us a little bit more what the Mr. Price Foundation is for the first time listeners? What is Mr. Price Foundation? Because I mean, obviously you and I know what it is, but
Yeah.
what is it for first time listeners?
Yeah. Do you know what is interesting, Ben, is a lot of people, when I joined Mr. Price Group, I did not know, actually, to be honest with you, I did not know that Mr. Price Group, one of the largest clothing retailers in the country, had a foundation. So I didn't know. So I discovered this. I said, okay, so you guys have got a foundation. And I realized actually they've been having a foundation since 2005. I said, so many years, So I joined, and after joining, I realized actually we've been doing an enormous amount of work working with young people in skills development, in education, supporting primary schools, in poorer communities and in townships and rural areas. We've been working with township entrepreneurs as part of our entrepreneurship, strategic theme. So now, after 2 years or so, we're clear in what we do. What we do is we really just exist to empower young people. We empower young people through three things. One, skills development that is demand-led. So we don't just train for the sake of training. We partner with industry and say, industry, what are your skill requirements and skill gaps between now and going forward? So we plan and pre-train for the future.
Exactly.
And say, how do we then enable young people and break the barriers of entering these sectors? Retail is very broad. It's not just at customer facing. When you have clothes like this, who made them? So we work and partner with young people to give them the demand-led skills based on the sectors across the retail value chain. We're now entering into other sectors like BPOs, as well as tourism and agriculture. We also do a second thing, very important and very excited about, is entrepreneurship. We think young people are not one group where young people, all they want is just jobs. We believe there are also other young people who have the knowledge, the appetite, the interest, the capacity to build small businesses in their communities, for them to go and create amazing products and service the markets that they are in. So we've got exciting programs in entrepreneurship in the entrepreneurship space. Lastly, we also do education. We support here, work with over 20 schools in KZN, but we've also now launched a program to support ECDs, so
Yes.
early childhood development centers. But the way we are supporting them across 3 provinces, we've just started across 3 provinces. We're inviting young people who have got the passion to build sustainable social enterprises in the care economy. We see ECDs or early learning centers or after school programs as care centers. You care about the young people. You want to empower the youth around literacy and numeracy, empower them to pass their grade 11, grade 12, grade 9, or you care that they go on and be admitted at universities and colleges and whatnot. So that program, we're partnering with young people to be social entrepreneurs in that space and build learning hubs in the community. So those 3 things are things that really keep us busy. That's what we do as Mr. Pryor Foundation. So we're excited. We are happy to continue to really just champion youth empowerment in the work we do.
Amazing. And together with your career in Indaba, we will look to try and join in forces together, to empower the South African youth. I think our vision here is really not just South Africa. South Africa is one part of the continent. In the end, we are African. And I think the whole continent deserves a boost up in the global economy, in the global exactly. And that's why I think one of the most important things is we would like to organize one time with you an additional session, because obviously we have short time. We have a short time during this session. We have
sure.
so many guests that were interested to join in, but the Prize Foundation was the most. You yourself, Octavius, was the most important, one of the most important guests, and we wanted to have you to on the show to showcase the Prize Foundation so that we can get the word out there as well.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I appreciate
and
really on the content, and just maybe quickly.
Yes, of course.
On the continent, we know we've got a youth dividend, Ben, and everybody appreciates it. And our approach is that it's going to take multiple hands on the deck to be able to, practically move the needle.
Exactly.
In capacitating, investing in this asset to take us and move us forward as a region across the entire continent. So we know you can't do that alone, and that's why we are happy to kind of look for ways to partner and increase the probability of us including as many young people, caring young people, empowering young people. Because when we do that and they're empowered, the impact in the community is without question.
Exactly.
It's enormous. It's enormous. So thank you guys. I'd be very keen to explore and see how we can combine our thinking, our ideas, our resources, so that we can get as many young people and also export what works. So if something has worked in South Africa, let's see, can it work in Zambia? Okay, can it work in Angola? Can it work in Kenya? Or vice versa. Something has worked in Nigeria. Can we see how it works in Southern Africa, in Zimbabwe, in Botswana, in Lesotho? So we're super keen to see how we can evolve all of those learnings and partner with the likes of yourselves to really invest in the future of this continent.
Exactly. Amazing. Okay, I completely echo your sentiment. I think a concerted effort is needed, not a shotgun effort, and we definitely echo what you say. And I know that you're a busy man, so thank you again for giving us this time. I really appreciate it. I definitely want to have a follow-up conversation with you. We love to have you on the show again.
We'll make it happen.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ben. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, Octavius.
The mic is live. The youth are speaking. This is YouthPlug, where hustle meets opportunity. From side gigs to startups, from code to courage, we plug in the next generation to jobs, skills, and power. YouthPlug, Africa youth economy switched on.
So that was amazing. We had Octavius Pikubi from the Mr. Price Foundation. As you heard from him, he's never had a linear career path. The work that he's doing now is fully focused on empowering the youth of South Africa. We're obviously very thankful to have him on the show. Thank you once again, Octavius. If you hear us, really appreciate it, and looking forward to have you on the show more regularly and to work together towards bringing the employment numbers up. Next up, we have Mr. Robin Bleekers from the Vireo Partners. I don't know if I don't know if people know about Vireo Partners. Vireo Partners is a ESG strategy led business based out of South Africa. So while we are connecting, Rob,
The mic is live. The youth are speaking. This is YouthPlug, where hustle meets opportunity. From side gigs to startups, from code to courage, we plug in the next generation to jobs, skills, and power. YouthPlug, Africa youth economy switched on.
Hi, Robin. How are you?
Good, thanks. And you, Benjamin. Lovely to finally get to connect with you.
Exactly. Thank you so much for affording your time for YouthPlug for Career Indaba. For those of you who just joined us, Career Indaba is a multimedia platform, dedicated to bringing down and alleviating the unemployment rates and to drive employment in South Africa and Africa as a whole. We're very grateful here to have Mr. Robin Bleekers from Vireo Partners with us today. Robin, thank you once again. Could you maybe introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit more about Vireo Partners and yourself.
Fantastic. Thank you. So Vireo Partners is a boutique sustainability and ESG consultancy firm. We work predominantly across sub-Saharan Africa, and we look at supporting medium-sized organizations on their sustainability journey, helping them to understand how they can enhance their sustainability and improve their reporting in ESG, so environmental, social, and governance matters. We understand the importance of looking long-term, understanding non-financial risks, ensuring that they are taken care of and addressed, and then at the same time, helping enhance the ability of organizations to innovate towards being not only more sustainable, but to embed it into their business models and potentially create new revenue streams, new opportunities as we start to look at creating a brighter future for all. So that is us in a nutshell.
Amazing, and yourself as well. You're South African. You're South African as well, but you also as well didn't have a linear path, right? You started out your studies in South Africa, landed up in Rotterdam. You did private equity as well. So, could you maybe tell us a little bit more about your career path and what led you to what you're doing right now?
Certainly. So I did a master's in industrial psychology straight out of high school, went in and completed my studies there, went directly into management consulting. It was quite an interesting story, primarily because we're talking about youth and youth employment.
Yes.
I got my first opportunity in the world of work through having participated in Toastmasters for an extended period of time. And I bumped into a gentleman who happened to have faith in me, not sure why. And he gave me a short-term contract to go and work with him on his plastics factory, doing HR work. Directly as a consequence of that, I was given an opportunity to interview at a management consulting firm because the managing director was like, I think you would be really good at management consulting. And I managed to get the opportunity to go for this interview, didn't know what to expect, and flew through. I then worked in management consulting for about 10 years. That was based primarily in your large rail infrastructure projects, looking at FMCG, working on a number of social enterprises as well, providing strategy and guidance there. I left that environment, which was an incredibly good foundation. I would recommend anyone who is wanting to get exposure to the world of work and business to spend some time in consulting if they can. And after that, I went into private equity. It was always an area of fascinating interest for me. Within private equity, we worked across sub-Saharan Africa doing various deals, trying to find ways to unlock value in businesses beyond just capital, but also through operational enhancements. And we embedded into that at this particular PE firm, sustainability, to try and understand how do we leverage sustainability to enhance returns, values for the business, and then also to try and improve outcomes within the countries that we operated. I then moved into the nonprofit sector, and it's quite a non-linear path. And on the nonprofit side, I was working in strategy, impact, and insights, and we worked with community organizations across the country to try and support them in the work that they do. Very small entities. There would be, arts and culture entities in townships in the south of Joburg. There'd be coding academies across Limpopo and Mpumalanga, KZN, and we did a lot on the creative sector, which is really, really interesting. And we think it's tremendously underfunded. So when we went into those areas, we were trying to find those organizations that were essentially underrepresented, not provided the resources, but were able to find exceptional stories of people doing amazing work and try and showcase those. Thereafter, I moved into management consulting, which is where I am now on the private equity side. And an underpinning theme in all of this was when I was still in management consulting, I did a lot of work with a now friend and business partner. And in the heart of COVID, I was elected to the board of his nonprofit, which was a sports nonprofit in the south of Joburg. And we hosted an esports tournament because we realized that during COVID, obviously you can't do contact sports. So we were like, wait, why don't we do esports?
Yeah.
It was a phenomenal success. We had the school packed. We had about 40 people in a sort of World Cup type format with FIFA as our primary game, 32 players. And I mean, you'll be surprised. You've got a school classroom filled with kids, and the audience was more excited than the players. And it just started to show you just how much excitement there was for video games. And out of that, we actually decided, me and my business partner, to launch a video game startup where what we would do is find a way for youth to enter the world of work through video games and advanced technologies and the creative sector. And we've been doing that for about 5 years, and we've worked with government and various other partners in the video games industry, for example, your Unreals, your HPs, to find ways to train youth to get into the world of gaming, animation, and creative technologies, and then to be able to create their own IPs, whether it's through entrepreneurship or getting into the industry. So that's pretty much an overview of my career trajectory to date.
Yeah, that's an amazing career trajectory. I think like what you said with our previous guest as well, your career trajectory was not linear. There wasn't a point where I studied industrial psychology, and then I jumped immediately into that field, and I grew my knowledge in that field, and I ended up in the end in that field. In fact, it took sort of a meandering turn. You like you said, you went into plastics, HR and plastics, and then management consulting, and then you went deeper into other fields, and then starting out esports. So I think you echo actually most people. What most people are saying here is that a career trajectory is never linear. It's sort of meandering, and it creates an ecosystem around yourself, which opens up opportunities to grow, right? Your skill sets or your network. I hear what you say about how you got your first opportunity, which was really very interesting. How would you recommend the youth of today in South Africa to go about getting a job? Because obviously you come from a very we all here on this call right now came from a very privileged background, in the sense that we could afford to go to university, be it by scholarship or be it by our own means, but we managed to get in university, managed to come out of university and sort of get a job immediately afterwards. But for a lot of the youth, the problem here is that they are stuck at the level below university, or or they've gotten a degree that's non-relevant to the skill set that is required by the workplace today. What kind of suggestions here do you have for them? Practical solutions on what they can do to get the job.
Perfect. So I think this is a critical question, and I'll jump straight in. And it's the reason I highlighted that particular moment. There's a lot of privilege in my journey. I was able to go to university without having to get a scholarship, right? Only later, further studies in the MBA that I managed to get scholarships. And importantly, that was through networks, right? That was through networks, that was through engagements, that was through groups. One of the critical things is, a lot of people say, well, you don't have skills for the future. One of the things I've noticed in South Africa, and in my experience, is we love to study, we love to get degrees. And so you'll go, myself included, you're a doctor as well, so you'll know it's lovely to study, you get the breaks, you get the networks, you get the opportunities. But very often you end up with all these degrees and you still can't find a job. And so it's not a panacea. And I think there's this misconception in South Africa and possibly elsewhere that if I go and study, it'll make my life easier to get a job. I don't think those two are necessarily correlated. When we've done pathway analyses in relation to like how to get into the video games industry, the large majority of individuals that got into the video games industry was self-studied. And there's a reason for that. It's typically because they're extremely passionate, they're self-motivated, they're technically capable in that particular area already to some extent. And so they're set up, they've already got that advantage, versus someone who goes into university, decides to study this, kind of just gets through and then says, okay, now I want to enter industry. So a lot of it is around ownership of like your own experience and what you can and can't control. When we build that on, what is super, super critical is I equate the job search to business development and sales. Now, one of the things that a lot of people do, my partner was at a conference recently, and she was like, well, I just get these consultants, they come up to me and they're asking me, can I sell you work? Can I sell you work? And it's like you switch off, So it's like, why would I want to work with you? But the counterpoint is to say, well, how do I go and just actually get to know someone? Firstly, how do I get in the room? Secondly, how do I get to understand you? And how do I find a way to understand what your problem is and how I can help you solve it? So the Toastmasters example I gave, what you'll notice is I got into the room, I went to Toastmasters. You don't have to pay to go to Toastmasters. Yes, you may have other barriers like transport, etc., etc. But let's assume you're able to get into that environment. And it doesn't have to be a Toastmasters. It could be, sports club, like the nonprofit that we run in Protea Glen, Disky 99. Just by participating and being present, you're now building your network, you're building your community, you're putting yourself out there. There's entities like One Young World, the World Economic Forum, Global Shapers, they've got chapters. There's all sorts of other entities where they may be limited to no costs, but just the ability to be in the room with the kinds of people you want to be with. So that's the first point. Make sure that you're putting yourself into spaces and places where you can be seen and your value can be demonstrated and shown. Then don't try and sell yourself immediately. Build relationships. You work with people you trust. You don't work with people who tell you what they do. So find a way to just start making friends, connections, collaborators, and then start to understand what is it potentially that they're trying to solve. Because that particular plastics factory at that point in time, by pure serendipity, happened to need help with HR. And they were like, well, you're a graduate, you're not going to cost a lot of money. Why don't you come in and just do this? And one thing led to another. My business partner uses the term, he says, the longer you stay outside of a barbershop, the more likely you are to get a haircut. And I love it because what it's telling you is exactly the same as that famous golf player who says, the more I practice, the luckier I get.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And so both of those work in tandem. And it's saying you may not be able to print all of your CVs and cover letters. You might not be able to go and sit in the heart of Santon and find everyone you want to talk to and knock on the door of Investec and First Rand and try and convince them. What you are able to do is to put yourself into collections and groups. And now, when I say this, I don't mean those collections and groups need to be high profile, well-known individuals. You have to meet the senior manager at Standard Bank or the executive at some big manufacturing business, right? It could be as simple as the local business entrepreneurs, business community, right? That happens to be in your local township, where it's a couple of people that are getting together to talk about business. Could even be a couple of shop owners, whatever it might be. But the reality is, what you're doing is you are making yourself lucky. You're making yourself known, and you are exposing yourself to the world. And it's critical to do so strategically. Again, you got to be able to say, okay, I tried this. Did it work? Didn't it work? Okay, what can I do different? Because sometimes, we try to put a square peg in a round hole, and we just do the same thing over and over again, and you don't make any progress. So you have to have the ability to reflect, analyze, and go back into the fray and understand, what can I do differently now? And that leads to the importance of finding, and this can help you also find those networks, finding people that you are able to talk to, who could be mentors and advisors. Because often, you can get so stuck in your head and you're like, I have been at this for so long and I keep doing this and I'm not making any progress. But the second I talk to Dr. Ben, it's suddenly, oh, I didn't think of it like this. I didn't think of it like that. And again, I want to emphasize, those mentors, those advisors can even just be friends. They can be people down the road. They don't have to be, we always look at it like I was saying earlier, with degrees, with people, with connections. We talk a lot about, oh, I need to work for this prestigious organization. I need to study accounting. I need to study engineering. I need to meet these high profile people. That is all a function, at least from my perspective, of serendipity. What you want to do is just put yourself out there. And that, I think, is a critical sort of piece of advice that I could articulate.
Wow. Honestly, Robin, thank you so much, because this makes I think you echo exactly what's in my head. I don't know how you got in there, but really, you're talking about three core things. If you allow me to just summarize, I mean, the most important, the first thing is, studies is not the means to the end. Yeah, it is studying the skill set that you want, that you have passion for, in order to get into what you want to do. So that was the first thing. The second thing was about networking, putting yourself out there, getting to know people, getting a broader network, so that you'll be able to open up opportunities for yourself. And the third thing was, the more you do, the more you put yourself out there, the luckier you get. So it's sort of getting into a lucky state, right? Because I mean, with all that's going around the world, we can all understand, it's very easy to feel unlucky. And so I really love it that you put it out there to say, you gotta get in the mood of lucky, because nobody wants to work with someone that is unlucky, or feels unlucky, right? It's just that matter of fact, right? And again, I understand your sentiment and how you see it, and your words, I think, echo true, not only for South Africa but for the rest of the world. The issue here is that the emphasis for most youth has been studies, because this is what has been shoved down the throats of the youth post let's say Gen X onwards, right? If you look at the US, the number of colleges outnumber the number of high schools in the US. If you look at Asia, the main benchmark for prosperity is level of education and level of literacy. If you look at Africa, the push in South Africa for literacy and beyond that, getting degrees is one of the biggest pushes throughout the continent. So maybe the push should be driven towards skill set, like you said, which is where now we have the opportunity to do so. Because platforms like Career Indaba, we look to empower the youth the same way. And in fact, Robin, we would love to. We are going to have an event soon next year. We would love to have your involvement. Love to have Virio partners there. I think that would be a great, a great combination on the South African front.
100%.
Amazing.
100%. We would love to see how we can partner.
Thank you so much, Robin. Well, thank you for your time. I really appreciate having you on the call. It's a pleasure. Amazing. We'll love to catch up with you soon. Yeah, I'm sure the viewers will want to get in contact with you very soon. Yeah, unfortunately, you
Definitely.
left your full name there. That means that you're going to see your LinkedIn filled up with.
No problem whatsoever.
Amazing, Robin. Thank you so much.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, and lovely to have the
Pleasure's ours. Thank you.
keep well. Cheers.
Cheers.
The mic is live. The youth are speaking. This is YouthPlug, where hustle meets opportunity. From side gigs to startups, from code to courage, we plug in the next generation to jobs, skills, and power. YouthPlug, Africa youth economy switched on. If unemployment is a crisis, now what? We are moving from talk to action. Career Indaba Impact Week, the Boardroom Takeover. A 5-day live broadcast activation from 27 to 31 October 2025, 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily. Hosted by Career Indaba board members leading Africa's biggest conversations on employment, skills, youth empowerment, and inclusive growth. Bring a pledge, a placement, or a partnership. Catch us live on careerindaba.org and all our social media platforms. Career Indaba, the voice of Africa's labor market. Future-proofing skills for economic growth. Career Indaba Expo and Bootcamp. 15th to 16th of May 2026 is Africa's boldest sector-aligned and solution-driven career development event designed to bridge the skills gap, unlock real unemployment pathways, and future-proof talent across over 20 industries. From the boardrooms of Sandton to the villages of rural South Africa, we are pulling the entire country into one decisive moment to tackle unemployment, close the skills gap, and future-proof our workforce. This is where the impact gets real. Career Indaba Impact Week, the Boardroom Takeover. Live from 27 to 31 October, 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily. 5 days of bold action, live job bulletins, market access for SMEs, and skills pathways that open doors across Africa. Career Indaba, the voice of Africa's labor market. The mic is live. The youth are speaking. This is YouthPlug, where hustle meets opportunity. From side gigs to startups, from code to courage, we plug in the next generation to jobs, skills, and power. YouthPlug, Africa youth economy switched on.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to YouthPlug. Thank you so much for joining us. For those of you who are just joining us right now, we had Robin Bleekers from Virio Partners just explaining how networking helps, how getting lucky will help you to get a new opportunity in your preferred sphere, in your future job career. Before that, we had Mr. Octavius from the Mr. Price Foundation join us and give us a overview of what the Price Foundation does, how his career trajectory was, and how he was able to help the youth of South Africa. So, we had two great guests come on. We have another two guests coming on later. But before that, I want to summarize a little bit, give a little bit of tips on what you can do, right, as a person in order to find your mentor, find your career, find your space where you will be able to succeed. I think most importantly, the important thing here is to start with who you are, what you're looking for. And the first way that companies look at you is through a CV, yeah, a resume. The resume explains who you are, how you've gotten to where you are right now. So use a reverse chronological format when you're writing your CV. You always start with the bottom, saying, here is where I started from. I studied in this high school, I went to this college, and then go upwards and say, this is the job that I have done. This is uh, from starting from reverse chronological, which means I started in last year in this job, and then this year in this job, and then go upwards. Important thing there is to customize each CV for each job application. Make sure that you are putting in numbers as well to showcase what performance you have brought to each job, even for your studies. If you say, I have performed so and so in my studies, it's important to know, and I explain why. Most CVs really do not include numbers, and I always abhor this. The reason why is because nobody understands what kind of how do you say this, what kind of performance you're able to bring to an organization. And this is bad. The reason why this is bad is because I will not be able to tell whether or not you'll be able to perform with me. And I have reviewed over a thousand CVs. So it gives me a very good indication when someone is able to tell me that they are able to do certain tasks and perform in a certain way. Yeah. Let me give you an example. One of the examples I can give you, the best example I can give you is, for example, putting down your grade. Just putting down your grade on your CV. Even if it is not a good grade, what you want to do is to be able to explain away. So let's say I have a degree in business management, yeah, and my grade is 2.5 out of 5. Maybe you don't want to put the 2.5 out of 5 on your CV because you think it looks bad. Instead, focus on the courses where you have actually performed. There may be one or two courses where you have performed extremely well and gotten 4 out of 5, or 5 out of 5, or 4.5 out of 5 for the matter of fact. On a subheading, put down the performance in these courses, because it then gives your employer, your future employer, an understanding of what you are good at. So showcase what you're good at. I think this is the important part which Mr. Bleeker's Robin had explained. Another important part is to include some activities that you're interested in. So, for example, if you are a swimmer, you enjoy swimming, or you enjoy hiking, you enjoy doing paper craft, do not leave these details out of your CV. The reason why is because you don't know who your future employer is going to be and how he's going to be. Yeah, likely they might share a similar passion as you. So if you put these things down, they become a talking point during your interviews. This gives them an understanding of how you are as a person. So if I want to hire someone, I want to hire someone that is the same as me, yeah, or has similar interests with me. This gives me a understanding and a sort of a bridging point, yeah, between all of us, that we can start a conversation during interviews. Now, many of you will say, well, I may not have a very interesting hobby. I may not have a very interesting passion. Not to worry about it. The important thing is to put down a passion or put down a hobby, because in the end, we do not hire robots. Organizations do not hire robots. They hire people. And what they want to know is that you are a person that has interests beyond the workplace. They want to enjoy working with you. Because if you can imagine, you will be spending from 8 to 6, working and standing next to a person, and you don't want to, and if you don't want to engage with that person, it becomes a very, very difficult situation, right? And if we go on, well, some people are going to ask, how am I going to find that new job? I think it's going to be tough. I won't be able to apply for jobs because my CV doesn't look good. I don't know anyone. Um, or there are no opportunities out there that fits my criteria. Well, I'm here to tell you that this is never the case. As Mr. Bleekers has said, as Mr. Octavius had said, you need to work out a networking strategy. What is a networking strategy? A networking strategy helps you to effectively connect with people who will be able to connect you with the opportunities that you are looking for. So, how do you do something like this? Step one, you need to be proactive. If you're not proactive, you will never be able to open up the avenues that you're looking to, that will be able to open up those opportunities for you. Being proactive means being disciplined and reaching out to people on a constant basis. And when we say constant basis, we mean daily, weekly, bi weekly. Set out a time period where you can reach out to people so that they will be able to connect with you. You will be able to connect with them and hold friendly conversations. So when we talk about friendly conversations, do not start going to people and say, "Hey, give me a job." That's not the purpose of networking. The purpose of networking is to form long-term, long to mid-term connections with people so that they know you exist, they understand what skill sets you have, and keep an eye open for you whenever opportunities come out. As Mr. Robin Bleekers had said just now, this first opportunity did not come out of him applying for a job. His first opportunity came out of Toastmasters. He joined an organization, called Toastmasters, which did not cost anything. He met a gentleman there, had a great conversation with him, and the gentleman said, "Hey, I think you would fit really well with my organization to do HR. We are a plastics company. Would you be interested?" Now, if you look at his background, he did not have any experience in plastics nor in HR, but he took the opportunity to jump in and say, "Hey, maybe I could do something, learn something here, so that I'll be able to find a future opportunity that is linked to what I enjoy." So that's the first step. Proactively reach out to friends, former classmates, maybe your current colleagues, your rivals, even. Explore hidden opportunities through your networking because most jobs are not actively advertised. Now, Career Indaba does have jobs advertised on its website, so please actively go and check our job portal. But in reality, most jobs are filled through networks. The reason why is because you already fulfilled the first criteria of the interview, which is the person who's going to hire you or the person that is going to give you this opportunity already knows you. Yeah. So that's step one. Be proactive. Number two, reach out to people constantly. Number three, look out for opportunities. Now, besides networking within your friends, your former classmates, your colleagues, etc., I think Mr. Robert Bleekers brought amazing point forward. There are many organizations which you can join for free to network. For example, Toastmasters, the Rotary Club, the World Economic Forum Club, the UN Club. There are a number of these organizations where you can go and mingle. I think it's important to note that if you don't mingle, if you do not reach outside of your current social circle, your social circle or your opportunity circle becomes small. And the more people you meet, your opportunity circle starts to grow and grow and grow and become larger. And this gives you the opportunity to meet not only interesting people, but people you not have had the chance to meet in your usual social setting. So if there's something that's very important, I think that you'll be able to help enlarge your opportunity circle. That would be to join organizations outside of what you would usually do, be it a new football club, be it joining a sports club, be it joining a Rotary club, be it even joining a political club. Yeah, something where you want to be involved in politics to do political spearheading. Or I'll give a even deeper example: the Red Cross. Do good for people. In these opportunities, you will be able to enlargen your circle of people, enlargen your circle of your network. The third piece of advice I can give is to leverage on your digital network. I think one thing that most people are missing out right now is that all of us have access to the digital world. Most people now have access to a phone and the internet. And globally, people are looking for workers outside of their country. Just yesterday, there was a newspaper article that came out. Germany and Belgium are actually looking for remote workers out of South Africa because of language skills and digital skill sets. Now, this tells you that there is opportunity that lies outside of your current network. As much as your current network is an important sphere within the country, outside of the country represents a huge opportunity as well for jobs. Now, you don't need to travel to do these jobs. Remote jobs can be done within the country that you are in, and this obviously opens up a larger skill set for you to further showcase your opportunity in country. So don't forget, leverage your digital networks. For those of you who don't know which digital networks to go to, you have LinkedIn, which is a professional network platform. And you have Xing, Xing, which is a professional network. And now, most importantly, Career Indaba, which is focused purely on employment. So leverage on these digital networks, engage with people on these networks, and ask for mentorship, which brings us to the fourth point. Before I bring you on the break, the fourth point is mentorship. At the beginning of your career, it is difficult, extremely tough to understand what is done in industry. Engage with people in industry through the first 3 points: reaching out proactively to your friends, your classmates, your colleagues, joining career events, professional groups, and networking digitally to find a mentor, someone who is doing what you would like to do in the future, because that person will be able to guide you, will be able to give you tips, will be able to explain to you whether or not, and you might find out that this opportunity, this job may not be what you are looking for in the future. So reach out, find a mentor that will be able to give you advice and give you some sort of explanation of what a job in this industry looks like. So before we take a break, the 4 points that will help you in the future. Number one, reach out proactively to friends, former people that you know already for opportunities. Join clubs, join career events, join professional groups, workshops in your field. Number three, you need to leverage on digital networking in order to enlarge your circle. And number four, use the top three points to find yourself a mentor and give you advice. Yeah. With that, let's take a short break, and we will be back in a short while.
The mic is live. The youth are speaking. This is YouthPlug, where hustle meets opportunity. From side gigs to startups, from code to courage, we plug in the next generation to jobs, skills, and power. YouthPlug, Africa youth economy switched on. If unemployment is a crisis, now what? We are moving from talk to action. Career Indaba Impact Week, the Boardroom Takeover. A 5-day live broadcast activation from 27 to 31 October 2025, 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily. Hosted by Career Indaba board members leading Africa's biggest conversations on employment, skills, youth empowerment, and inclusive growth. Bring a pledge, a placement, or a partnership. Catch us live on careerindaba.org and all our social media platforms. Career Indaba, the voice of Africa's labor market. Future-proofing skills for economic growth. Career Indaba Expo and Bootcamp. 15th to 16th of May 2026 is Africa's boldest sector-aligned and solution-driven career development event designed to bridge the skills gap, unlock real unemployment pathways, and future-proof talent across over 20 industries. From the boardrooms of Sandton to the villages of rural South Africa, we are pulling the entire country into one decisive moment to tackle unemployment, close the skills gap, and future-proof our workforce.
Hi, Kanye.
Hi, Benjamin. Hi, I'm good, and you?
Amazing, thank you. For those of you who are just joining us, we are on YouthPlug, led by myself, Dr. Benjamin Sieh, out of Geneva, and I have very luckily with me Kani, who is our CEO of Career Indaba.
Thank you, Benjamin.
Yeah. So, Kani, what are your thoughts on the two guests we had? We had two guests before, Mr. Octavius from the Mr. Price Foundation and Robin Bleekers from Rio Partners. They both gave us quite deep insights into their career paths and what each organization does. I think there is a lot of synergy here with what Career Indaba is looking to do. And as Octavius had said, a scattergun approach or shotgun approach, trying to hit everybody at the same time is not a good approach. Yeah, in order to resolve this problem. The Price Foundation, the Mr. Price Foundation, obviously is very dedicated to alleviating this problem, as is Career Indaba. What do you see as the what are your thoughts, behind what Octavius had said?
Yeah, thank you, Benjamin. I think for me, I'm very excited. It warms my heart and mind as well. It puts my mind at ease because not only with the last two interviews, I think throughout the week, most of our guests, they echo the same message.
Mm-hmm.
And if that was not the case, I would be saying at our next board meeting, maybe we need to can this thing because it doesn't exist. So issues that we are trying to address, they are pain points for not only those who are unemployed, but also those who are already in the labor market, whether they're in business or in employment, or also in the learning institutions. So I'm very encouraged. As much as it's quite challenging to do this kind of work. The work of passion, the work of what we need to see change is not easy because it requires quite a lot behind it to make an impact. So Career Indaba is definitely designed not to compete and not to duplicate the effort that's already there. There's a lot of amazing organizations in the country as well as outside of the country. I think the more we speak to people, the more we actually get to hear why people are doing what they're doing. And it all circles back to addressing issues of skills mismatches and getting the right skills and focusing. Octavia spoke a lot about their organization focusing on demand-led skills. That is my passion. Training for the sake of training, it doesn't make sense. It's a waste of money. A lot of money spent in training for skills that are not going to be required. It's quite sad. Investing 3-4 years, driving and pushing a particular qualification, it's not something that we should be encouraging. I'm a little bit sad that we couldn't deliver and host our Career Indaba Expo in Bootcamp now in this last September.
Yes.
Because for us, the most important thing is to start having now the conversations and creating even more awareness to the learners who are now going to take up learning programs. So for me, the Expo and Bootcamp is really to start to create that awareness with learners to be a lot more intentional about the programs that they're going to take up, because there's no point in taking a course, come the end of 3-4 years, the market will not need you. So it's very important that we find ourselves in that setting where employers can articulate, similarly to JAE that was here, where they were showcasing in the previous show, they were showcasing what skills they're looking for to drive whatever organizational needs.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we need at the Expo. It's not about an expo, and it's really about having those conversations and educating the nation and the continent to say, today, tomorrow, these are the skills we need. However, in the next 5 years, we're going to look very different. So if you are choose very intentionally, so that we drive more for a skilled workforce, a skilled continent, a skilled country, as opposed to, I liked what Robin said. I mean, that for me was quite, it resonates with me when he said, and he focused specifically on South Africa, but I think it's across the continent, that we love acquiring qualifications. We love qualifications, as opposed to focusing on that plus the skills. I mean, it's wonderful to have, degrees, and I really admire. And for me, education is very important. I come from a family that is, most of my family members highly educated, value education. My father was highly educated, and he valued reading and writing, and we need to encourage that. Those skills are getting lost.
Yep.
Those skills of reading and writing, not only allowing ChatGPT to write for you, because when you understand and you've been properly educated, when you use ChatGPT, it's a lot more refreshing, because you can this is not right. Something is missing in this ChatGPT conversation that I'm receiving. So my concern is that with the use of AI, without that foundation that we need, it's going to kill our continent. It's going to kill us in terms of how do we apply ourselves intelligently, as opposed to say, oh no, I don't have to read, oh I don't have to write, because something's going to write for me. So just to maybe sum up the question that you asked, I'm very encouraged by the work that we are doing, and I also want to say thank you to the chairperson and the entire board for saying, let's do this thing, take up the challenge, let's start the conversation. As much as we could not have that expo, but let's kick off the conversation, because we've got media, and Career Indaba has been created on the backbone of it being a digital first platform.
Yes.
And you understand that we do not have full connectivity across even the very important areas I'd like us to touch. So for me, I'm quite passionate about the rural areas. I grew up in a semi-rural area, and I understand the importance of access. If you don't have the means and you can't access what's available, there's no point. So our number one focus is really to make sure that our site gets 0 rated. We need to get partners on board, the MTNs, the Vodacom, the telecoms of the world, to really help us to 0 rate our site.
Exactly.
So we can make sure that someone who's sitting somewhere far in the rural areas, they can be able to tune in and not to have to worry about data. So data is still expensive.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you spoke with Robin about, the privileges that some of us have, and we actually take it for granted that for someone sitting somewhere, to be able to even access WhatsApp. It's quite a challenge. They need to have their WhatsApp on and off, or their data on and off, only when they need to use it. Whereas with us, we are on forever.
Exactly.
So I would like the opportunity first to make sure that when we definitely go live and live forever as radio or as a channel, as a communication platform like this, I would like to make sure that everyone can access our site without spending. And if there's someone out there who's listening, they can definitely come on board because we currently don't have funds. We've got zero or minus in our bank account. So if they'd really like to come on board and support, we are not an initiative. We are an organization. So Career Indaba, I know the company name is quite misleading. It says Career Indaba. So whenever people hear Indaba, they're thinking there's an event. It's an organizational name that was registered in 2013. I was still working in corporate when I registered Career Indaba. So yeah, fast forward, I think there's a million other Indabas out there, and great. But I think for me, what I'd like to also achieve together with the board is to make sure that we collaborate with like-minded organizations. I would not like to duplicate. We are not going to build platforms which already exist. If there are platforms out there, I know there's the Presidential Employment Network and it works. I would like to showcase and educate people more about it. To go there, if there are opportunities, go there. If it's a yes for youth opportunities, we want to direct traffic where information is sitting. For me, it's all about accessing career development opportunities. Benjamin, I can give a State of the Nation address.
No, I love hearing you talk. Because you obviously touch on the you touch on the topic not from your words but from your heart, and that's where it really brings life to to what you're saying. Yeah, and what I gather from what you're saying is actually something I echo when I teach my students as well. And that's foundational skills, right? And the two core foundational skills, like you said, is language. You emphasize a lot on language. I think that is one of the core foundational skills. The next core foundational skill for me is math. Yeah, those two really drive any other skill set that you would like to pick up. Mathematics and language are synonymous with our foundation. If you look at the top in-demand skills, if you type on the internet, what are the most in-demand skill nowadays? They will tell you digital literacy, AI, data analysis, software engineering. All of these sort of revolve around those core foundations, which is your language skill and your mathematics. Software development, for example, it's all driven around language. So the better you are at your own language, it'll help you to pick up other languages as well, whether it is a software language or a language that is spoken. Yeah. And as well, mathematics is driven behind everything. A lot of us talk about AI, but they don't really know what AI is. Yeah. Currently, when you mention one of the most popular AI models, which is called ChatGPT, and ChatGPT, really what it is a LLM, which is called a large language model. What it does is it correlates what the best answer to your question is from what has been fed to it. So if there is a lot of it, so it's garbage in, garbage out, sort of, right? If the more the more information it has, the better it can correlate. But if it takes from a very unreliable source, this information, then the answer it spits back to you is going to be unreliable. So one thing that a lot of people don't know is that ChatGPT is not very good at math. So if you pose math questions to ChatGPT, you actually very frequently get wrong answers. And if you yourself, if you yourself do not have a good mathematical foundation, you're not going to be able to spot that it's a wrong answer.
Oh, I didn't know that. I haven't tested. I'm going to try it this weekend.
Because it's a language model. So it's built around language versus mathematical skills. So I think they've improved the model going forward. But when I tested it, many times I've tested it with mathematical formulas, it's come back to me with wrong answers. And I had to tell ChatGPT, hey, what you gave me was wrong. Can you re-look at this answer?
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, it admits it's wrong. So You know,
It's
I
very
think
interesting.
rather than a skill set in AI, yeah, I think what most in demand right now is a skill set in managing AI.
Yes.
Yeah, being able to direct AI to do the job properly. So if you look back towards the industrial age, you know, when we started using machines, it's not machines taking over humans' jobs,
Mhm.
right? If you look at the car industry as one specific example, you know, what was needed was an upskilling for a person to be able to operate the machine efficiently. So the machine obviously knows what it's doing. It stems, it stems,
Yeah.
it stems. But if it stems 5 centimeters wrong to the left, then you have a problem.
Yeah.
The whole product is destroyed. So knowing where to stem is an important thing. So I frequently like to quote an incident that happened that happened to me. Yeah, I think it's happened to a lot of people. I had a problem with my pipes. Yeah, it was clogged. So I called the plumber. The plumber comes in and he says he took one look, unscrewed one portion, the whole clock unplugged, the whole plug, it unclogged itself, screwed it back in. 5 minutes it took him. And here
Yeah.
being Switzerland, you know, he gave me the bill. It was 600 francs. So
I'm happy to hear that.
I said, look, buddy, you know,
Yeah.
600 francs to unscrew this one thing and screw it back. You know, can you at least give me a breakdown?
Yeah.
He said, yeah, sure.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, sure, no problem. I'll give it to you verbally.
Okay.
It costs 5 francs to unscrew, another 5 francs to rescrew, but it costs you 590 francs to know which part to unscrew.
Oh, wow.
So
Yeah.
the
And the robot can't do that.
so the knowledge, the skill set, the knowledge of how to do something
Mm.
is much more important than doing than being able to do the thing. But the reason why he's able to charge so much is because
Mm.
he's been doing this day in, day out. So like you said, you know, the issue here is access to AI models. If even access to WhatsApp is difficult, then access to AI models is tough. Yeah.
Mm.
But one thing that I feel that, you know, in rural areas where there needs to be a larger involvement is on the agricultural side, on the agricultural side, anything that has to do with physical labor, because physical
Mm.
labor is um, what drives, I would say, the economy.
Economy, yes.
Yeah, this is the same in Southeast Asia. This is the same in the US. If you look at it, you know, the farmers are the first ones to suffer whenever,
Mhm.
you know, whenever there is a whenever there's a downturn, because the, it drives the economy. Agriculture drives economy in almost every single country almost every single major country that we look at. So
Mm.
one thing I can say is, you know, while we are looking to improve, improve ourselves through studying, one of the most important things is to look at physical labor as a point as well to start their career. Yeah. The reason why is
Mm.
because understanding the basics then helps you build a foundation on joining perhaps agricultural companies, joining supply chain companies, joining import export companies, because then you understand how crops are planted. What is the cycle? How do you recognize good crops from bad crops, good suppliers from bad suppliers? It opens up the channel for you upwards as well. You see,
Mm.
so I think that's another thing, you know, looking at your community, looking at your sphere around you to see what opportunities there are in order to start working, to get that little bit of experience so that it
Mm.
can launch you into something. I I
You
I,
know, you're touching on a very important part. I mean, for me, that presents a massive opportunity. If you look at the number of unemployed people and the number of young people who are now becoming farmers, I mean, I see a lot of them in our country,
yeah,
women, and all across the different you know demographics. However, the challenges, they come in when there's funding and all sorts of things, and then acquisition of land.
yes,
So I don't know how long it takes. So for me, I just imagine even a quarter of the many millions who are unemployed could go and become farmers or work in a farm and contribute and participate in the economy. So the other part, I just want to circle back to what you said before we got to agriculture, and as another opportunity in terms of employment and job creation, is the skills you spoke about that are in demand, or the jobs that will be in demand. I just want to add to, over and above the skills, whether it's technical skills or not, there's also the behavioral skills. So as much as I might come in as a graduate, qualifying test, or whichever qualification is currently, if you do not have, and for me there's like 3 at the moment, if you lack the problem solving skills, the second one, you lack the creativity and innovation, like thinking outside the box and so forth. The other one is obviously communication. It's going to be really challenging, because currently, as an employer or potential employer at Career Indaba, those are some of the critical skills I'm going to look for. I'm going to look for people who can come in and say, okay, what is the end in mind? And be able to say, okay, this is how we can solve it. This is how I think and be able to take, the third one is taking initiative. I'm more and more and more, I'm seeing a generation that comes in and then wait, and then, and I'm not saying people must be thrown into the deep end. Again, it's about that the thinking ability, and not allowing, these different AI models, as you call them, to think for us. Yes, you can use it to enhance your ideas, where you can come back and say, I think this could practically work. And be able to tell, as you said, instruct the AI model to do that which you would like to, get out of that process, and that helps. But for me, the lack of initiative, not being able to, problem solve, troubleshoot, you ask questions about every single basic, that's quite challenging. It's not going to set you ahead in terms of employers wanting to potentially look for you, or even if you want to start your own business, you need to be able to come out of your shell and say, let me think deeply through this thing and understand what it is that I want, and how am I going to do, like allowing yourself to think and think through stuff. There's nothing really frustrating like, having to work with people who will ask, now, where must I move this cup to? You are sitting at a table. I mean, obviously, if there's a cup here and it's dirty, move it to the basin. Why should you ask me where and how? So for me, it's like basic things like, and I'm seeing quite a bit more of that, and I'm not sure what it is. The other one that you touched on, Benjamin, is around mathematics. So I studied mathematics, like the full mathematics, not mathematics literacy. I studied physical science, and I also did biology and I did geography as well, English and the other languages. And I didn't end up with my mathematics, physical science being where I would have wanted it to be. Very happy that I actually did the full higher grade mathematics, as well as biology, or physical studies, as well as biology, because those 2 courses, they really helped me to understand how to problem solve. Yeah. But please don't ask me about the other, because some of the mathematical things are quite difficult and they still don't make sense. And statistics for me was like really challenging, even at tertiary. But in terms of how I see those 2 courses have shaped how I think, how I do things, it was valuable, because it forced you to keep on working until you get to the solution, and not to give up. You keep on until you get it right. Exactly. X, whatever, Y, and I didn't get it, but it was just the mindset around it. My mind was trained to say, if you're not getting it right, you keep on trying out, the calculation until you get it right. So when you find yourself in a space where you are forced not to pursue the physical science and the mathematics because the last 3 years you were not doing well, therefore you should follow a particular stream of learning. That for me, I find it very challenging.
Yeah.
We've got that system because someone decides that because you struggled for the last 3 years doing mathematics and science, we are projecting that in the future you will not make it. That I'm struggling to process, and it's very challenging. And that's the reason why we sit with a lot more graduates who now coming out of high school, they had no other choice but to follow a particular study stream because universities are looking at the results, they're looking at the subjects. But guess what? You had to, for the last 3 years, do the subjects that you initially didn't want to do. But because your latter years before you got to the last 3 years were not that great. And I mean, for me, logically, I'm thinking maybe my grade 7 and 8, I was just a bit playful. Therefore, I find myself here. But if I now understand that I'm now focused only on my mathematics and physical science, I'm going to give it a try. However, the system doesn't allow you to give it a try. You are forced because the rules are saying that if you've got this, that, and that for me is very frustrating.
I hear what you're saying. You know, the frustration is not only in South Africa, it's across the markets in Europe, it's everywhere. But I tend to look at it in a different lens, in a different view. You know, there
I want to hear you.
there isn't enough space in industry for everybody. Yeah. So
Yes.
what do I mean by that? You know, there is a limited number of space in banking for people in finance. There is a limited number of space in telecoms for people who want to go into that sphere. There's a limited number of space in every single industry for everyone. I think the core thing here is to how do you make yourself stand out? And this is what I found with my students. You know, I've taught now. I teach at the university at the bachelor, at the masters, and at the doctorate level. And what I find is that the further up they go, the worse they become in being able to showcase what they're able to do and to make themselves stand out. So, like Robin had said, you know, a lot of times we are being pushed to educate, and educate. And I think the problem here is people go up the education chain because they cannot find a job. This is the core concern. Whereas
One of the reasons.
students, some of my best students, the ones that are able to absorb knowledge and act on it, are usually at the bachelor level. Yeah. So I'll give you an example. I have one. So I also review CVs, yeah, of the students. I offer this as a service to them. And when I look at their CVs, I realize that they're all over the place. I realize that they don't know how to showcase the best parts of themselves. Instead, what they say is exactly what they do, which for me is wrong. Yeah. So what people say here is like, if I studied math, I studied math, and then it stops. Whereas what people don't understand here, what employers are looking for is achievement. How I'm hiring you to make my company better, to help me become, for me to grow in my own career, to go up one level, and then you can take my job because I don't want to do the job that I'm doing now. I want to go up the career ladder as well. So whoever you hire, right, is there. You need to see that when you hire someone in order to take part of your job scope so that you can take your boss's job scope and move up the ladder, move up the career ladder. So what do I want to see in someone's CV? I want to see achievement. How do you showcase achievement? The only way to showcase achievement is via numbers. And what do I mean by that? I'm not talking about having complex formulas or having complex numbers on a form, but explaining what you did. So, for example, if you are a history graduate, right? You're a history graduate. It might come across that, oh, it's tough to put numbers. I'm a history graduate. Yeah. But you can put things like, I did 5 courses, per semester to graduate within 3 years with a grade of with an average grade of 4 out of 5, for example. This showcase excellence,
Yeah.
right? You can also showcase excellence in your hobbies, as I mentioned just now previously. I'm a swimmer, and I've participated in 5 national competitions, coming in 2 out of 5 of them. That
Mhm.
shows discipline. That shows discipline, right? Swimming is not an easy sport, yeah. Or you
Yeah.
can say, for example, I'm a magician, and I enjoy showcasing. I do children shows.
Mm.
What does that show? That shows that you're able to put yourself out there. For example, in
Yeah.
a sales job, that's an amazing quality to have, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think we should
Yes.
talk more about how people should showcase themselves, because a CV is a single page which contains everything about you, yet
Yeah.
nothing about you.
Maybe we should change how we write CVs. I mean, I'm absolutely on your point. When you read a CV and it's like a lot of A, you put it aside, because I also do recruitment. You receive a
Yes,
lot of CVs, and all you see is a listing of things that are not talking to what you are submitting your CV. I mean, for me, the CV conversation is a completely full session. So you and I, we need to jump on again at some other time
I
to just
agree.
unpack that, because I'm really passionate about making sure that people can showcase what are they good at, what can they do, what have they
Exactly.
done. And as an employer, I can then apply my mind to say, yes, you are applying for a role in HR, but I don't see much of it. However, you have demonstrated that you do have the potential to become such. So
Exactly.
we definitely have to unpack that, and maybe get some of the students to join us to facilitate this conversation. But thank you for the invite, for the impromptu invitation. I think I now need to go back to my DJing job in the background. And
Fantastic. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And, looking forward to the next guest. I think we'll go maybe into a short break, and then we'll introduce our next guest coming from Inseta.
thank you so much for having me.
Thank
The
you.
mic is live, the youth are speaking. This is YouthPlug, where hustle meets opportunity. From side gigs to startups, from code to courage, we plug in the next generation to jobs, skills, and power. YouthPlug, Africa Youth Economy switched on. If unemployment is a crisis, now what? We are moving from talk to action. Career Indaba Impact Week, the Boardroom Takeover. A 5-day live broadcast activation from 27 to 31 October 2025, 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily. Hosted by Career Indaba board members leading Africa's biggest conversations on employment, skills, youth empowerment, and inclusive growth. Bring a pledge, a placement, or a partnership. Catch us live on careerindaba.org and all our social media platforms. Career Indaba, the voice of Africa's labor market. Future-proofing skills for economic growth. Career Indaba Expo and Bootcamp. 15th to 16th of May 2026 is Africa's boldest sector-aligned and solution-driven career development event designed to bridge the skills gap, unlock real unemployment pathways, and future-proof talent across over 20 industries. From the boardrooms of Sandton to the villages of rural South Africa, we are pulling the entire country into one decisive moment to tackle unemployment, close the skills gap, and future-proof our workforce.
Thank you so much for those of you who are joining us. We are on YouthPlug, and right now we have Mr. Nikosinati Gabuza. Please correct me if I'm pronouncing it wrongly, of course, from Inseta.
That's perfect, Doc. Afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thanks. How are you, Dr. Ben?
Perfect, perfect. Thank you so much for joining us. Yeah, we're really pleased to have you with us. You know, INSETA is an important organization in South Africa. We would love to learn more about what the vision and the core values are. And I believe you also have a presentation for us.
Yes, 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 yes. Thank you so much, Doc, and thank you to Auskani for the opportunity, and good afternoon to you and to everyone tuning in. My name is Nati Kabuza. I work for INSETA. We are based in Ilovo in Gauteng, and we are one of the 21 seaters established in 2001 for the purposes of skills development in our sectors. Ours obviously being the insurance sector. We cover learnership programs, internship programs, bursary and skills programs. I hope to take you through those in a bit of more detail in the little time we have available.
Perfect. So really, I think INSETA has a core role in South Africa to tackle this. Do you hold usual events? Do you do it or pure online? Because we were just having a discussion together with Kani. The issue with the I think this is not just a issue in South Africa. The issue globally, is data is expensive, right? It's difficult to get access to online, and if you hold events, it's difficult to get to location. What do you feel is the best methodology in order to be able to engage the people who are unemployed, engage the youth?
Thank you for that question, Doc. So, as you'll be aware, the whole move toward hybrid training arrangements kicked in really around the time of COVID-19 in 2020. There are SDPs who've kind of continued with that model. It does help in terms of containing transport costs for learners. And actually increasing the number of learners that can be reached. But we do know that we do have a digital divide in our country. So we also encourage training providers to ensure that learners are issued with laptops or with tablet devices or subsidized with data, if not fully funded for that data, to make the training accessible. And as we find that a lot of the young people also do access ICT devices only for the first time post-matric. So the training does help. The seaters basically target NKF level 4 to NKF level 6. In terms of our training programs, we obviously do fund young people for post-matric tertiary education as well. We do have training in rural areas. We've got a program with just over 500 young people in the Northwest. They were being trained on long-term insurance and different SMME type training. We have 2 programs that involve extra maths, science, and accounting classes in Limpopo, in an area called Zebediela, and another one running in KZN, in a rural area of KZN as well. The one has 400 learners, the other has about 200 learners, and it's a flagship project that we started in the current financial year, and it's something we plan to roll out annually. So we do encourage hybrid, but obviously ensuring that learners get the necessary support in terms of the technology and IT infrastructure that will enable them to participate in training.
Amazing, amazing. I think these initiatives really push to drive more involvement, more inclusivity. I think the steps they are taking to do is incredible as well. There must be there must be quite a wide reach right now, right? How many participants did you have this year, and what is the end goal? They were trying to reach in order to accelerate the engagement.
So on average, we train about 18,000 learners that would be both employed and unemployed. I would say between 65 and 70% of that figure is for unemployed youth.
Amazing.
South Africa does have a challenge. We've got about 32.3% unemployment rate. We have about 54% youth unemployment, and we know that about 1 in 3 graduates is unemployed. So These are really meant to plug this gap. And we always encourage continuity as well. So a learner could do an NKF level 5 learnership, an NKF level 6, and then enter an internship program and hopefully get absorbed in that sense. I need to indicate that we have an innovative internship program as well, which we call Matric Plus, a 1-year qualification. So traditionally, the internship needs someone with an NKF level 6 or level 7.
Yes.
With this program, a young person can then enter an internship if they've done, if they have Matric plus a 12-month qualification. And obviously, we do have one for graduates as well. In terms of the skills programs, it would be programs like cybersecurity, data science, coding. And like I said earlier, we do have a rural bias or emphasis, so that, it's a green building, so if I don't move...
Yeah, exactly. No worries. No worries.
And we are increasingly seeking to collaborate with other SETAs.
Yes.
So in your rural areas where there might be agriculture, we might partner with that SETA to roll out a program. And obviously things like drone piloting as well. We do fund such programs because we know drones have uses in several areas, in security, in agriculture. So we are trying to not only train in your legacy qualifications, but increasingly in your occupational certificates. As you know, there is a shift so that the emphasis, so that your traditional learnership would be 30% theory, for example, and then 70% workplace exposure. So typically 4 months in class, 8 months at the workplace.
Exactly.
We are setting up assessment centers. We're actively participating in that, and in material development as well for your occupational qualifications. And the idea is that there be a greater emphasis on practical hard skills. And it's also why we are partnering with TVET colleges.
Mhm.
So there is a goal to fund at least 100,000 young people studying through TVET colleges by 2030, which aligns with the MDP Vision 2030 as well.
Exactly.
So typically the structure there is young people would be 18 months, do 18 months theory, N4, N5, N6, and then we cover the stipends for the remaining 18 months at the workplace so that they can get their diplomas. So these are some of the programs we're embarking on.
No, that's amazing. I think the job that you're doing is really helping to alleviate the situation, and of course increase the inclusivity, for students and those unemployed alike. The issue here, we just to bridge you into the conversation that we were having previously on the show, was we were talking about foundational skills, because when you talk about TVET, you're talking about and level 6, level 7, you're talking about advanced skills, right? Do you see a lack of or a need to boost foundational skills? So when we talk about foundational skills, we're talking about language, we're talking about mathematical skills as the core basis, right? Because cybersecurity, software development, they are all advanced skills, but require in-depth foundational skills. So I would like to pick your brain a little bit, because you're the expert here and you're on the ground. So what do you feel? What do you think about that?
Okay, it's definitely within what we're trying to do, and I'm glad you've raised that. So your typical learnership would consist of elective, your core and fundamental modules, and you'll find that in some of the qualifications there would be, an emphasis on numeracy skills, on literacy skills. So, and because of different backgrounds, the whole idea in what we do is to promote access. We would not say a learner needs to have passed a matric with this at this level or with this percentage in order to access our programs. And it's also why we've said, let's go back to high school level. The extra maths and science classes are targeting grade 11s and 12s, and probably over time we will start at grade 9 and move up. But it's just that we felt because we're starting, let's start at grade 11s and 12s for now, to promote access not only into our programs, but into tertiary education as well. And then obviously we around TVETs, the qualifications we fund are business management, marketing management, HR, finance, and management assistant. But there are SETAs such as Chieta, your MQA, which are more artisanal. So your industrial skills. So we support that as well. And that's why I mentioned earlier that we do partner with these SETAs so that we can offer innovative programs, but also reach more numbers of young people. So emphasizing both the quality of the candidate coming out of the training at the end, but also looking at the numbers, because the unemployment challenge is at such a big scale in our country.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that insight. It's really much appreciated. We have about 15 minutes left. I just want to I'm excited to see your presentation, because I'm sure there's so much core material there that our listeners are going to really have value, to get value out of. Would you like to share your screen, and then we can dive deep into your presentation? Also give us a little bit of time to discuss it afterwards as well.
Will do, Doc.
Thank you so much.
Please do. You're welcome. Please do let me know when you can see it. Are you able to see it?
The mic is live. The youth are speaking. This is YouthPlug, where hustle meets opportunity. From side gigs to startups, from code to courage, we plug in the next generation to jobs, skills, and power. YouthPlug, Africa Youth Economy switched on.
Are you able to see it?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay, Doc, because of time constraints, I'm not going to take you through it slide by slide, but I'll perhaps just jump into the ones that are more pertinent. Because I believe the focus is more on youth. So I'll basically cover a little bit in terms of our programs, the legislation guiding us, and the programs available for youth, and some of the areas that applicants who want to participate in our programs need to include in their proposals. We partner with employers, and maybe just to backtrack a bit. So basically, we're funded through levy-paying employers who pay 1% of their skills development levy to SARS.
Just if I could cut it very quickly, do you mind if you press F5 on the so we see it full screen in presentation mode?
Okay, perfect. You've taught me something today. Thank you, Doc.
No problem. Yeah, no, it's such important material. We need to see it in full screen.
Okay. So basically, maybe I'll.
Yeah, if you just click on the F5 on the keyboard.
Okay. Is that better?
No, there is a button that says presentation mode. Maybe that might help. Just on the bottom right, there is a presentation mode button.
Okay, let's try again. Okay, let's try something else.
So while we're waiting for the presentation, again, we thank you for joining us on the radio show. Obviously, we have a whole pack of a whole lineup of presenters that are coming up. But most importantly, right now, we're going to have Nozanati to bring us through the INSETA programs and relevant legislation. We're just waiting for him to put it into full screen. So beside the slider bar, do you see 63% at the bottom of your screen? If you move to the left of that.
Are you able to see it now, Doc?
Not very clearly. If you move your mouse down to, do you see 63% at the bottom right of your
Oh yes, oh yes, oh
uh,
yes.
go move your mouse to the left. No, to the left. If you move your mouse just to the left, there is a button that looks like a presentation. Yes.
Yes, yes,
Click
yes,
on that.
yes. Yes.
It should bring you to full screen.
Okay.
So
Is
the
that
full
better?
screen is just behind. If you click all the way at the top, if you move your mouse all the way to the top, up some more, up some more, move your mouse all the way up some more, up some more. Just behind there should be a screen.
Okay. Okay, let's try again.
If you move your mouse all the way to the top,
Okay. Top left or top right?
just anywhere at the top or at the bottom,
Okay. Okay.
there is a screen behind. If you click on that, it should be able to.
To full. Okay.
Yeah.
Full screen.
Yep. And you click presentation. Otherwise, it's fine. Maybe if you just bring us through the. If you bring us through the slides, that's the most important.
Okay. Okay. We'll do that.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
All right. You're welcome. You're welcome. So we are guided by the Skills Development Act and the Skills Development Levies Act, the National Skills Development Plan, and obviously the PFMA, amongst other legislation. So we have the mandatory grant in terms of the types of grants available, which is accessed by employers when they submit their skills development report and it is approved. It's usually due between December and April of each year. Employers can get back 20%, and then obviously the discretionary grant. It's a total of 49.5% of that 80% received from SARS that we dispense for funding learnerships, internships, etc. Types of entities that might apply, it would be your higher education institutions, your TVET colleges, both SMMEs and large employers, skills development providers, NPOs, and cooperatives. Okay, in terms of the programs available for youth, it would be bursary. The maximum for your traditional universities is 95K per learner per annum. For University of Technology, it's capped at 85K per learner per annum. For learners studying at a TVET college, the funding is capped at 36K per learner per annum. We have a candidacy program. It includes a stipend. That program runs for 12 months. We have internship programs, which I've spoken about earlier. We have a learnership program. We have skills programs and work integrated learning, which is the 18-month workplace exposure program for TVET college students. I'm not going to go into the worker programs. Okay, we've spoken about the bursary. Okay, so we usually open a funding window. We may open one now, beginning of November. If colleagues can visit our website, www.insita.org.za. It will likely run till the end of December. What we request on the proposal is that there be a clear focus in terms of the program the applicant wants to apply for. So this would usually be for companies or these entity types that I've mentioned that want to host learners. So you would indicate internship or a learnership. You can include more than one intervention in that proposal. There should be a program rollout or implementation plan, which covers your advertising, your recruitment process, all the way to when the learning program will start to possibly a graduation at the end of the program. And then the duration of the program needs to be indicated. We need a clear idea of the budget required that can include a 7.5% admin fee or project management fee. So stipends, if those are going to be paid, if the venue is going to be rented, and if there's going to be catering for the learners at all. And then we need to know the province, the region, and the municipality where the program is going to be taking place. We need to know the number of learners, and if there's going to be any learners living with a disability, that should be indicated, maybe in terms of a percentage, and then also the number of males and females. the applicant intends to train. Supporting documents, it would be CIPC proof that the company is registered, a triple BE certificate or sworn affidavit, National Treasury CSD report for the entity, a tax clearance certificate, and 2 reference letters confirming similar work previously done, and then a letter of accreditation for credit-bearing programs such as learnerships or skills programs. So these are just some examples of legacy qualifications being migrated to occupational qualifications. So your National Certificate Financial Services, your medical claims assessing, long-term insurance, long-term risk assessment, etc. In terms of the occupational qualifications already available, it would be your insurance underwriter, financial advisor, long-term insurance advisor, healthcare benefits advisor, investment advisor, employee and pension funds benefits advisor, and lastly, claims assessor.
That's amazing. I think we need to dedicate a full 1 hour to this presentation, because there is so much valuable information here. I think we should actually have an INSETA day, to really bring through our viewers all the benefits and all the programs that you're bringing it onto the table, because they are so varied and they are so much inclusive into alleviating the problem. We won't do it justice if we only have this 5 minutes, more to go. But our time is your time is obviously valuable. We thank you so much for joining. I really
Thank you.
appreciate you showing us all these programs that that INSETA is doing. I'm looking forward to have you on the show again and have a deeper conversation on all the programs that you're providing in the future.
Thank you, Doc. Thank you, Doc. And thanks to Auskani for this innovative initiative. And I'm sure it's reaching a lot of people, and a lot of youth will benefit from everything that the other guests have shared as well. And thanks to you, Doc.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Doc. Thank you. Keep
Thank
well.
you.
The mic is live. The youth are speaking. This is YouthPlug, where hustle meets opportunity. From side gigs to startups, from code to courage, we plug in the next generation to jobs, skills, and power. YouthPlug, Africa Youth Economy switched on. If unemployment is a crisis, now what? We are moving from talk to action. Career Indaba Impact Week, the Boardroom Takeover, a 5-day live broadcast activation from 27 to 31 October 2025, 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily. Hosted by Career Indaba board members leading Africa's biggest conversations on employment, skills, youth empowerment, and inclusive growth. Bring a pledge, a placement, or a partnership. Catch us live on careerindaba.org and all our social media platforms. Career Indaba, the voice of Africa's labor market. Future-proofing skills for economic growth. Career Indaba Expo and Bootcamp. 15th to 16th of May 2026 is Africa's boldest sector-aligned and solution-driven career development event designed to bridge the skills gap, unlock real unemployment pathways, and future-proof talent across over 20 industries. From the boardrooms of Sandton to the villages of rural South Africa, we are pulling the entire country into one decisive moment to tackle unemployment, close the skills gap, and future-proof our workforce.
So for those of you who are just joining us, thank you very much. It's Dr. Benjamin Seah here hosting YouthPlug. We thank INSETA for that very insightful presentation and talk. But right now we have Miss Carbonina Rampuni, Ramupi. Yeah, excuse me, my
Ramupi.
pronunciation. Ramupi.
No problem.
Thank you so much. Who is Chief People Officer at AECI World.
At
Yeah.
ACI, yes.
ACI World. Thank you so much for joining us, for giving us this time on Career Indaba Youth Plug. We're so excited to have you here. Could you maybe give us a little bit of insight into what ACI World does and your role in ACI World?
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Dr. Is it she? How do I pronounce it?
Yeah, it's CIE.
Sia.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a tough name to pronounce. So I'm grateful that you attempted it.
So ACI is a chemicals and explosives company.
Mm-hmm.
We make explosives and we sell industrial chemicals. Our head office is in Woodmead, but our plants are in Modderfontein as well as in Sasolburg, Umbongotwini in Durban. We've got footprints in Australia. We've got footprints in Brazil and in DRC, and in Zimbabwe, in Zambia. So we do have a footprint outside of South Africa.
Amazing, amazing. And as Group Chief People Officer, yeah, so you're not just the
Yeah.
Chief People Officer for the region itself; it's for the whole group. You
It's for the
oversee
whole
talent,
group.
exactly. And you oversee
Yes.
talents across a wide range, yeah, of a
True.
very complex industry. So,
Yeah.
how what does this mean practically? Especially in the context of women, youth, rural participation, because obviously your reach is global, but at the same time, to reach a minority of people can be difficult.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, you've hit it right on the nail. Whilst you've heard me talking about where we are in terms of our site, our manufacturing plants, we do know in Africa where we located, but also outside of Africa, you do need to access some of the skills that may be in rural places, and rural means not being in the urban areas.
Exactly.
So it's quite difficult to reach people there. I think more so because of the technology does not get there, and if it is intermittent, and we're talking here digitally as well. And because we're no longer using your post office and sending letters, you're trying to reach people through data means as well. And in those areas, it's not easy for them to access the information that we might have about the skills, about training, about opportunities. So as businesses, we need to think outside of the box in terms of how do we reach those historically marginalized and continue to be marginalized people in the rural areas. So we have to actually come up with opportunities. We have to come up with solutions, not only for them, but with them. So understanding what their problems and their issues that they have to overcome, so that together, listening to what they're telling you as this is an issue, and you be coming with solutions that can actually work. So it is work in progress, and obviously cannot just be us as AECI who work. We have to come together with obviously with the CETAs, with other organizations, with the public sector, to be able to get for people to access what we offer, and for them to be able to participate and contribute.
Exactly. I think you hit a very, very sore point for every organization, right? It's how do you get access
Yeah,
to the right talent in the right areas, especially, if you
yeah,
want a broader pool, getting
yeah,
access to the rural areas is especially is especially difficult, excuse me. I
yeah.
think a core question that we have, is what have you found to be the best methodologies? Is it career events? Is it online outreach? Do you actually do physical outreach? What how do you spread the word that you are looking for the best talent? I think that is the question.
So the best way, and there isn't one, right? You don't have a silver bullet with the problems presenting themselves. Word of mouth works, especially if you have those minds and the sites that you are in. You still have to use print work, to put up posters and career days, to do it digitally on the cell phones, send out on LinkedIn, on X, on every other platforms, particularly the youth that you want to get in touch with. Everyone is now having a cell phone, and so you have to use all of those means to get the messages across. But also, you have a capped audience being our current employees, and we have to use them to be able to reach the people that we want to reach. Some of them come from those communities as well. So, a simple response to that is use every means necessary to be able to get to the skills that you need, including talking about bursaries, opportunities, about internships, all of those means that one can for those people to be able to know about what we offer and the talent they have that we need as AECI.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I think you placed there. There is no silver bullet, right? A hybrid approach is needed. You need to
Yeah.
use multiple platforms. I think the problem is twofold. Like you said, the problem is outreach from organizations, and at the same
Yep.
time, proactivity from the youth, from people
From
who
the
are
youth themselves. Yeah.
to actively seek out these opportunities, right?
Yeah.
It cannot be a one-way street. So
No.
there are structural, excuse me, there are structural barriers here that
Yeah.
sort of, cause this break in communication. I think what you mentioned here especially is because there is such, your organization has such varied positions that are available, and also varied skill sets, right? From
Yeah.
chemicals, from to the HR function, to the finance
Yeah.
function, all this. Do you think opening up remote possibilities, because the core concern here as well on the rural side, going to the urban side, is that is having to relocate completely, right? So do remote opportunities open up the bigger possibility for inclusion, or do they hinder it?
No, definitely. We, as I said, it's to think outside of the box.
Yes.
The biggest barriers are often invisible, and we would hear in meeting rooms, in boardrooms, that we don't have skills. Whereas we do have those skills. Is to look at all the structural barriers that we have that are woven into how society and workplaces have been designed. They're deep-seated structural limitations for our people. So for women, all of those structures come in the form of women are seen mainly unpaid care economy. We still expect them to be the backbone of at home and as powerhouse at work, right? But that's not sustainable. We need
Yes.
policies and cultures that will allow for that balance. And for our youth, that paradox of you must have a skill to get a job, but then I don't have a job, so I don't have experience. So how do we make sure and to come closer to those people? How can we build these digital hubs in the rural spaces for them to be able to have fast internet to access all that's there? And I was even saying to a colleague that we often talk about call centers, customer care centers. We send it to India, to all of those other places. We are in South Africa, we are in Africa. Can we not
Exactly.
have those in the rural areas? Let's train our people and then put in structures that will ensure technologically, digitally, they can access, and we can then use them. Then they are able to participate in the economy as well, right? So it is very important to address those structural issues, this technology, those digital issues that these people, that the people have as barriers. So, and that's our work. Again, it's not only for AECI, it's for our government, it's also for other private sectors, for us to come together and say, how do we make sure we get to them so that they don't have to migrate their skills to urban areas, but we actually bring jobs closer to them, opportunities closer to them, so that they can also participate.
You put it so aptly, and you hit the nail right on the head. The job sets need to be set in on ground, whether it is urbanite or rural.
Yeah.
It needs to be brought back from overseas and kept in house. Bringing the skill
Yeah.
set so that the development for the people are done for the country rather than
Yeah.
just the revenue building for the company. So I
Precisely.
completely agree with you. But you touch on a very important point, which I'd like to ask as well, because if you allow me, you being a woman,
Yeah.
and being in such a high powered position, right? I'm sure our lady listeners, our women listeners would like to know as well, how can they get to become you, right? How, because like you said, the issue here is that policy, the mentality,
Mhm.
the culturalism is driven towards
Mhm.
having the women as the backbone of the household, and you've managed
Mhm.
to break through this barrier.
Mm.
So what are the tips you can give to our lady and women listeners to break through the barrier just as you did?
Wow. So, I think the work, um, other than just myself as a woman having to network, having to belong, and I imagine in the rural setting, you have those networks where women come together, whether they are selling, whether it's in stock files or someone. So you tag on someone who might have been able to get out and is in the urban areas. But I think the more work is with companies, in terms of ensuring that we reach out to marginalize, and our policies are inclusive. For us to look beyond just ensuring that we just ticking numbers, but thinking about, as you say, how do we access, how do I get the chance, one, to be hired, to be seen,
Yes.
right? Then be hired. And thereafter is that development. And after that, me being inside there, and again, us having made it, I call it having broken out of those molds and getting in, it's not to close the doors to those people. We must remember also where we come from, and I mean, our country, the world is one, right? We just
Yes.
happen to be sparsely in different places. But do I have to now leave my family and leave everyone behind to go to the urban areas for me to have access to opportunities? And I don't think so. So it is that work that needs to be done to ensure that it's communicated. What are those possibilities? What are those opportunities that people can tap into? And if we are going to talk about me, so while I was born and bred in Joburg, I had to go and study in University of Natal in Durban, but
Mhm.
then have to come back. You come back with a paper. Now I realize it was just a paper. I don't have experience, right? And I have to look for a job. And at that time, it's going through the adverts, but you listen to everything and anything. Believe you not, I started in internship without being paid at those times. You just
Mm.
get money to get a taxi to get to where you need to. And I took that opportunity and I made it work. I'm not paid, And my mom was starting to ask, okay, you went to university and now here you are, you're waking up every day, you come to work, end of the month, you still don't have money. What type of a job is this that you're not getting paid? And it's basically having that tenacity, that vision of saying, look, I'm getting experience of how the workplace work. And from there you get mentors. And from there you get to be referred. You do the best that you can with what you're given. And you use that opportunity. That door is slow, is opened small, right?
Mm.
You use the opportunity for those people to say, we are keeping her. And you start climbing that ladder. So the work is hard, but you cannot give up. And now in this chair, I remember those people who are like me, who don't know about those opportunities. How do I make sure that they know it? So every little opportunity, let's communicate it. Then we have mentorships, we have internships, we've got bursaries. Like, just be a sponge and absorb and take. Your name must be out there, your CV must be out there. Get hold of those opportunities, and through the sitters like the cheetah that we as ACI belong to, they've
Mhm.
got many opportunities of communicating to precisely, those people who are out there that do not have the means to be able to access opportunities that are put out there for them. So we can't give up. We still have to keep thinking about how do we reach that talent. Because
Yes.
if we have to look at all of those people in these high positions, you will know, they'll tell you, I come from Limpopo, I come from Venda, I come from the Eastern Cape, they come from the deep rural. And you
Mhm.
ask yourself, how did they get those opportunities? So you cannot give up. Everyone, I'm sure, has got someone in their families who's in touch with any of these companies. Let's work together, create those networks to be able to access these opportunities that you would have heard about.
You're absolutely right, and you and your story is so inspirational to our women and lady listeners. We're grateful that you're open to share it. I think this is the core global issue as well. If we take
Yeah,
it global, because you mentioned about the world is one, yeah. I mean,
yeah.
I think about it. I'm from Singapore, and I ended up in Switzerland. I've done work in Africa,
Wow.
so
Sure.
it's somehow it's exactly like what you mentioned, right? The opportunity presents itself, and you cannot limit
Yeah.
yourself to saying, "I want to be in this field, and it's this
Mm-hmm.
field or nothing at all."
Mm-hmm.
Right? There are
True.
people that do that. There are people that do that. I'm not saying that that's a wrong mentality, but they
Yeah.
want to create their niche in that
Yeah.
specific field. They want to create,
Yeah.
whether be it technology or service excellence or something within that field that makes them stand out. But not everybody is like that.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, exactly.
Exactly. And to expand on that, I mean, obviously, I studied psychology, and you're thinking, okay, what's there for me?
Mm.
And you think about personal management and whatever. That's not what I wanted at the time. The job that I started, I was a cinema manager at State Clinical at the time,
Wow.
because that's what was there. I
Yes.
got trained to manage a cinema. And today I am here. I'm not managing. It's a tough job. You don't have weekends, you're working nights. It's a crazy job. But
Yeah.
that's where I started. That's where I started. And today, those niches, those opportunities came, and I was able to align my degree to where I am today. But that's not where I started. And
Mm.
I think the highlight here, the moral of the story is, you don't get out there and you say, I've studied accounting, I want to be an accountant. That's what I would do. And you refuse to take any other opportunities that comes your way. It's a door that's open and you walk in.
Exactly.
And then the door you're looking for, you will eventually, and maybe it is you that opens that door. But do not be closed to opportunities that present themselves.
You're absolutely right. I think we echo the same message. You echo the
Yeah.
same message as our previous guests as well, because the skill set that you have now will not be your final skill set. You'll end up expanding it, you'll end up adding to it.
Mm.
It ends up being very round. And actually, like you said, even though you studied psychology, you now end up in people management, but the psychology part that you studied is part of your skill set, which you still use today in a
Yes,
certain way in your job.
yes,
Yeah. So
exactly.
you never really lose that skill set. It's just used in a
Never.
different way. Yeah,
Exactly. Exactly.
exactly.
Yeah.
And bridging on the topic of skill sets, what are the skill sets you feel now are the most essential? Because we try to dig into this with our other listeners, with our other guests as well, right? We talked
Mm.
about AI, we talked about
Mm.
we talk about accounting, and then we had the talk with our CEO of Korea Indaba, Kani, and we said, look, actually, forget all those fancy skill sets that are too broad
Yeah.
and too
Mm-hmm.
deep. You need to start with we argued that we need to
Yeah.
start with foundational skill sets like
Yeah.
language,
Yes.
mathematics. You know,
Yes.
what
Yes.
are your thoughts? Because you currently hire people with obviously very diverse skill sets. What do you feel are the
So
most important skill sets?
so look, I'm not one, and I know we're talking about skill sets that build. For me, it's more about the mindset.
Hmm.
Um, Being able to think outside of the box. I always say that, and it's a throwaway comment that people will say that your attitude will determine your aptitude. I think more so than ever, it's so relevant, because you can have acquire all of these skills, but if you don't check your own mindset in terms of where you're wanting to go and how you're wanting to use it. And then the other very important one, which goes beyond AI, is constructive thinking. I mean, we hearing the lament from the government, from everybody. I'm actually even going to say, even at work, you're thinking, but this is logical. This is so obvious. How is it not obvious to you, right? Those are the basics. We're going back to the basics, but thinking constructively and asking yourself those questions. I mean, it's still relevant. The what, and the why, the how, and the where, and the whom. Those are, and we might think it's so basic. I want to think about it. Just don't make this difficult. Okay, just use constructive thinking. What I'm reading, does it make sense? What
Hmm.
am I wanting to say? What is this about? Just basic common sense, actually, before you can build on all of the other things. And I think what we've done, we've worked on all of these complex skills, but we don't have the basics. So that means the foundation is not there. What house are you building with a shaky foundation? You don't even understand the paper you are writing in a report, and you're looking at it, you're like, man, what are you saying? What was the question actually? Did you actually think about what is being required of you? It is that simple. It is that basic. And so for me, it's the constructive, just that thinking, and ensuring that you're applying your mind. Okay, don't hurry up to do, and you've just put up something, wasted time, but there's no essence, there's no a structure to it,
Yes.
or even it's you can't even comprehend. You ask yourself, what was I doing? What am I writing? I also don't understand what this is all about. So for me, it's all of those basics, and then it's the culture. What are your values? I think we will stop talking about or even interviewing people for their skills, because
Hmm.
everyone is trying to get education out there. But it's, what do you believe in this world of corruption, in this world of many things that don't go with values that actually build on foundations, and values that not only about you, the ethics, how we want to treat people, how we want people to feel, how we want people to come to work, bring their whole selves to
Yes.
be able to contribute. Because if you don't recognize, you don't see me as my whole self with all my skills, innovatively, creatively, and otherwise, you are shutting me down. I will not have a voice, and I'm not bringing my whole self. I can give you my hands, meaning that you tell me what to do and I'll do it, and I'll wait for you again to give me instruction to do. But hire me for this whole person with the right values that the company would have said, this is our culture code. This is what we want as desired behaviors. Be ethical, be kind, and kindness. I promise you, Dr. Shie, next time we will be hiring people for being kind, not people who are brutal and breaking people. We are dealing with mental wellness at crazy proportions.
Yes.
People are not able to come to work. They have anxiety. They have all sorts of mental illness because we don't see it. We don't appreciate it. We don't even say, but you've been off at work for long. What's going on? So it's all of those basics that we need to be working on. Get back to basics before you can build all of those CVs and big things that I'm have a PhD in this and that. The basics, the values, the common sense. Please, can we bring those back? I'm calling for common sense and think, please.
No, we obviously hear you loud and clear. It all goes back to the age-old adage that unfortunately common sense isn't common. Which
No.
is sad. And the reality here now is that with the adage of the internet, you get access to you get access to a lot of information. Number one, that's
Of
not correct.
information.
Yeah, which is
Yeah.
not correct, which is
Mm-hmm.
exaggerated, lifestyles
Yeah.
that are exaggerated for
Yeah.
a picture or snapshot. And
Yeah.
you also get access to a false belief that you do not need a skill set to succeed.
Yeah.
Which is,
Yeah.
goes back,
Yeah.
yeah,
I heard that, and it's worrying.
yeah,
And I'm not in any way saying do not go and study. Do go and study because you learn something there. You learn to research. You learn to be able to challenge. And it's that constructive thinking that we're talking about, that you are able to challenge what you see and ask yourself, does this make sense? And read widely, research, understand what it is that you are doing, and be able to compare truth from whatever hype it is.
exactly,
And we do need to get to the bottom of what is the truth and what is not.
exactly.
Fact-based theory, this very, very important.
Hmm. No, that's absolutely right. I think you echoed the sentiment of Kani, myself, our guests, of many of our guests throughout the week. We've been we while we try to crack this unemployment situation, try
Mm,
to crack this
mm,
problem, we realize that it is a mindset encouragement, like you said. Building resilience, building
yeah,
patience, and
yeah,
and breaking the hold of instant gratification from
yeah,
uh, from participants. It is a tough road, but it's a road that we are passionate about, that we're looking to bridge together with individuals like yourselves, with organizations like yours, to be able
mm-hmm.
to hold meaningful conversations and involvement with the youth, with the unemployed, to show them that life can be a much better way. Yeah.
Yeah, and we need to unfortunately give our youth better models,
Yes.
right? Not the role models that are out there that have cracked a tender and now have become big boys, and that's what. And we all see, if we are a parent, you see your children thinking, man, this is going to take me long going to university. I just want to do something that's going to make me quick money. And you know what it is about quick money? It's easy come, easy go,
Ego.
right? So you want to build sustainability. And I always say to them, at least get a base a base qualification, something you can fall back on. Yes, you might have other talents. You want to sing, you want whatever they call it, singing, this rapping. It will work one day, might not work. And at least when you've studied, you can read your contracts because it's all in the terms and conditions. And
Exactly.
suddenly you've worked so hard and someone takes the money. Because what you've done, you went for instant gratification. You didn't read the fine small print because you thought, I just want the instant gratification. I want to be rich now. I want to be rich today. And you go and sign and sign. And now you have to work for someone for longer to pay them the money that you have used. And what happens to you? You might have fame, but you actually don't have something that you can touch and feel. You become a slave, basically. You've made
Exactly.
yourself a slave because you were ignorant. You wanted to get to places faster instead of building up. Build yourself up.
No, exactly. I think you hit it right on the head. And the devil is in the details, like you mentioned,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to contracts. And that's why we need more inspirational people like yourself. One big thing that Korea Indaba is doing, as you know, we're holding our expo soon. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We'd love to have you there. We'd love to have
Oh,
ACI
yeah,
there,
certainly.
because we need inspirational people like you to be the front, to show the youth what life is truly about, and not just instant gratification and doing you know just following the latest trends. Yeah, especially
Yeah.
since you built your career from a humble beginning into some
One brick at a
now.
time.
Exactly,
Yes,
one break at a time. And
exactly. Yeah.
again, I think our women listeners will be so grateful to be able to hear this from you, to understand that there is a way for them. There is
Of
someone to look up
course.
to get the
Oh,
to get to that.
certainly.
Yeah.
Certainly. There is a voice that represents,
Exactly.
and there's someone who's opening the door and holding up my hand. You can come, we can work together. I will let go of your hand once you've got it. But we do pay it forward. You don't
Exactly.
come in, close the door behind for other people. We build these networks of support, of developing each other, of mentorship, of coaching. And that's what this is all about.
Exactly. And again, this policy has to be driven both at I think at three levels. Yeah, the government level, the corporate level, and as
Yep.
well at the people level. They all
Yeah.
need to work cohesively together to make this work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are there any, is there anything you would like to leave our listeners with? Something that you believe strongly in, that you would like to leave them with?
Yeah, so I think it's important to know that companies are also working. Inclusivity is become a big deal, and for us to work whilst numbers, bringing people together means that you have more voices that would have been marginalized before, but it doesn't end there. It's not a ticking the box exercise. It's to ensure that we move beyond that, because once people are in, it's then you've given them access. How do you make me stay? What are those policies? And how do leaders lead to
Yes.
ensure that this is actually becoming part of our strategy? And how do we measure inclusivity? It's not just saying, we need 10 women, tick, we've got 10, and we leave it there. But it's how do we make sure that we develop them, we mentor them, we ensure that the environment is conducive for them to stay, to build, and to grow. And so we hold ourselves, HR leadership, accountable by putting measures in place and ensuring that there's KPIs. It's not only the numbers, but how many people are staying, how many people are you mentoring, are you coaching,
Yes.
in the organization. And the organization can also be able to tell that story. Each and every leader can be able to account that I've got so many people. This one has stayed for so long. And yes, we can see they are progressing through the organization. So we can't talk about creating these opportunities without actually making them hardcore measures, making sure that they stick. So we bring them, they need to stick. We need to know we are accounting. There's not a lot of leadership taking accountability for what's going on. And we don't need companies that become a turnstile. You know, people are coming in and out. How do we have that conversation to ensure that people stay? And even our youth, and it is scary when you're looking at the unemployment, and the next thing, one is in and the next they are out, and everyone's like, how do I even go through that? What's going on in there? And it can be so saddening and so make
Yes.
you hopeless, you know.
Yes.
And so we are the hope. We are the ones who are inside. We need to build systems that can make this last, but can also ensure that they have hope when they come into the corporate space.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. Actually, you now opened up another interesting thing. I find it difficult to let you go. You talked about corporate accountability, and I think this is
Yeah.
the part that everyone is trying to tackle, right? Because corporate accountability, a corporate is a shell. It's made up of its
Yeah.
people. Yeah.
Yeah.
How do we push corporate accountability if even in places where in very developed economies, in the US, you see that corporate
Mm.
accountability is low. Yeah. If you
Mm-hmm.
see Europe, it's low. You see in Asia even, the corporate accountability is low. O- Obviously, I would love to tackle if you do have some extra time. Yeah, we
Yeah.
would love to tackle this topic with you.
Yeah. So for me, corporate accountability, I always say that one, if you can manage it, but you need to measure it, but you also need to reward it. I think as a human race, as human beings, if you don't talk about how it's gonna hit my pocket,
Yes.
whether it's an incentive or you taking away, I'm not gonna be moved. And I mean, we don't work for work's sake. We do work for recognition. We do work for rewards. So that corporate accountability, and as you have said, the corporate is a shell. You have people there. You have leaders. They do need to be one. You make it part of the strategic objectives of for inclusivity. As I said, it starts with the numbers, and then it starts with who's staying, who have you developed, who you keeping. But at the end of it all becomes a part of the performance measure. Okay, we must talk about how you've performed. We wanted you, this is the metric, but at the end, this is how it's going to impact what you going to get as an incentive.
Mm.
Unfortunately, if you don't connect those, we will keep talking about this. 10 years later, we're still talking about, and everyone will come with this motherhood statement of we are this company, we are this, we are that. And all of it is sitting in a policy, because it's not lack of policy. I'm sure there are lots and lots of policies. There are lots and lots of statements undertaken about inclusivity. We want diversity. We are this company. We are that company. But how do we make this stick? How do we make this to actually make sense? We need to connect it to our strategy. Because if it's in and of its own, people are going to chase the objectives, and this I'll see it when it happens. But if it's part and it's woven into our objectives, and then we are actually measuring them, that's where the magic will happen,
Yeah.
and stops being just something that we say and lip service.
Yeah, that's a great point. It's all linked to strategy and policy, but
Yeah.
what I always worry about is strategy and policy is always words, right? Do you think
Yeah.
an active approach, like setting out a part of profits that is
Yeah.
actively used for this,
Yeah.
is the approach?
The budgets, of course,
Yeah.
because I mean, you know that your budget must follow your strategy. So when
Exactly.
it's in your strategy, you have objectives, you have a budget to actually do what needs to be done. And over and above that, so I have created a space for you to actually achieve this. At the end of the year, I'm still going to measure whether you have achieved it. And this will impact what you get in form of your long-term incentives or short-term incentives. So that's why I'm saying you have to bring in performance into it. And
Yes.
it comes through that system. Otherwise, as you say, it's just stuff that's written somewhere someone can read. But you make it live by KPIs. Let's measure it, and then let's incentivize for it to ensure that we can then account. You said you'll do this. Have you done it? And when you've done it, we recognize you and reward you for it.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree. That's amazing way to think about it, and to actually make an action plan to have it work in the real world. What what
Yep.
what we see, the problem always is this, right? That sales is incentivized more than any other corporate function. And
Of
there's a
course.
reson why.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
everything is sales driven, right? If you look at the
Yeah.
first
And you
line of
can see it in the bottom line as well. Yeah.
exactly. But so
Yeah.
the problem is in a role like yours, or in finance, or in accounting, or in market, even sometimes
Mm,
marketing, because marketing
mm.
takes funds, and says, I'm going to make a marketing campaign, but I cannot tell you what the result is going to be. All I'm going to tell
Oh
you is we
no.
may or may not reach a certain amount of
Oh
people.
no.
Yeah.
Oh
So
no.
how do
Everyone
you,
has to account.
yeah, but how do you incentivize these people who don't have a P&L, right? They don't have a profit and loss account tied to them. They are
But those
consistent
people,
loss.
those
Yeah.
people, they do need resources, isn't it?
Yes,
They
exactly.
must hire people. So you give them a target. This is when you go out and hire, obviously looking at the profile of the people working for you, and we've got targets. You ensure that you have done this. It's stated. You sign a performance contract. It's in there. So whatever you chase, there's a weighting, and I suggest that this have proper weighting, not your 5%. You're like, if I don't do it, at least my sales, I'll still
Exactly.
get a lot of money. You make it count, you make it painful, then they will chase it. That's what this is all about.
Amazing. No, thank you so much. I think your story is so inspirational. Your what you've said, rings true. I think you echo as well what everyone else is saying, and with even more authority, because you come, you're you're 5 times underprivileged as compared to everyone else. If you allow me,
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
As
And other that
a
we don't know yet.
Exactly, but in my sense, you've broken so many barriers that
Yes.
you've broken so many barriers that I'm in awe, of you. So thank you so much for your time. We're really grateful for it. We're looking forward to have you at the expo to develop, our
Certainly.
partnership together. Thank you so much once again, and
Thank you
we'll
for the
really appreciate it.
invitation.
Absolutely, we're looking forward to have you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye.
The mic is live, the youth are speaking. This is YouthPlug, where hustle meets opportunity. From side gigs to startups, from code to courage, we plug in the next generation to jobs, skills, and power. YouthPlug, Africa Youth Economy switched on. If unemployment is a crisis, now what? We are moving from talk to action. Career Indaba Impact Week, the Boardroom Takeover. A 5-day live broadcast activation from 27 to 31 October 2025, 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily. Hosted by Career Indaba board members leading Africa's biggest conversations on employment, skills, youth empowerment, and inclusive growth. Bring a pledge, a placement, or a partnership. Catch us live on careerindaba.org and all our social media platforms. Career Indaba, the voice of Africa's labor market. future-proofing skills for economic growth. Career Indaba Expo and Bootcamp. 15th to 16th of May 2026 is Africa's boldest sector-aligned and solution-driven career development event designed to bridge the skills gap, unlock real unemployment pathways, and future-proof talent across over 20 industries. From the boardrooms of Sandton to the villages of rural South Africa, we are pulling the entire country into one decisive moment to tackle unemployment, close the skills gap, and future-proof our workforce.
Hi, welcome back. Thank you everyone for joining us on YouthPlug. I'm Dr. Benjamin Sieh. We had a number of amazing guests on the show. I would like to thank every single one, not only our guests most of all and foremost, but also our listeners. You know, I think this wouldn't be possible without our listeners, without your participation. It would not be what it is. I would like to sum up, give you a little bit of an overview of what we talked about for those who were not able to join the show, at least leave you with some nuggets of what the show was about, how it went, and what are the next steps, what are the future. So we heard from our guests regarding many core things. If we talk about the first core thing, we talked about networking, reach out to people, enable yourself to have this sphere of opportunity by reaching out to as many people as possible. Put yourself out there. This is the only and most important way to be able to leverage on your network to get opportunities. Number two, build on your foundational skills. We talked about your core foundational skills like language, like mathematics, but also on your social skills, being able to communicate with people, to be open-minded, to also be able to problem solve. These are important skills that you can showcase to your future employer, that you are ready and available to start and hit the ground running. Most but not least, I think what you really need to do is be proactive. Be proactive, stay motivated, be resilient. I think once you have these few core sets set for yourself, you'll be able to tackle any opportunity available to you. And as a last bit, we are having our expo next year in 2026. We'll share the details online. We'll share our details via print, via all our media platforms. Please like, subscribe, join, because our Career Expo next year is going to be phenomenal. We're going to have participants from the Prize Foundation, from AECI. We're going to have the SAST join us as well. This is going to be the core opportunity for you to start your networking journey. So please join Career Indaba's platform. Please like, subscribe on all our platforms, which include Zing, which include X, which include YouTube, which include LinkedIn. Once you're plugged in, you will be able to see what efforts we'll be putting in to help you reach your next opportunity. So this is Dr. Benjamin Sieh. I thank you once again. Signing off, and we'll look forward to be able to have you join us in the next stream.
The mic is live. The youth are speaking. This is YouthPlug, where hustle meets opportunity. From side gigs to startups, from code to courage, we plug in the next generation to jobs, skills, and power. YouthPlug, Africa youth economy switched on.